Good morning everyone, how are you? Welcome to my channel. So this video is part 2 of Botanical Beauties and our prompt was the tulip. So my homework was to stitch everything down and put some decorative canvas style stitching into the background. So I'll show you that first. So I stitched into the denim-y blue piece of fabric, but not the stripe. I just thought the stripe was pretty on its own, didn't need anything where that was a plain fabric. So I worked into that a little bit. The little bit of lace went in there that came off the corner of the handkerchief. And I just did a running stitch to frame those words. Now in amongst the lines is some little invisible stitches which gave it a nice puffy look. Like, see, that is like a rolling sort of, what am I thinking of? Wind on the sand when it makes those little corrugations. By keeping my invisible stitch in linear lines, it's given a nice even roll, which I thought was quite nice. Made those letters pop. Little bit of canvas stitch there and there. I'd say I'll do more, but I didn't want to go too far ahead of myself without that big flower to come into position. And of course the leaves and things like that. So that's where we're at. My other homework was to finish making the yo-yos out of the Tim Holtz fabrics and wash them, which I did. I washed them, I think they got to go into 4 loads of washing, and they're really good. They've got that flat, starchy feel. Well, it's not starchy. It's, I don't know. It's hard to describe. So they're definitely thicker than these because this fabric is newer and this is old. But they've got this, I don't know, they sort of look like they're part of it. I love it. I love it. So what I'm going to do first is have a look at the tulip itself. So if you haven't seen part 1, you'll be wondering what I'm up to. So the attempt here is to make a tulip out of Suffolk puffs. And I've supplemented the colour range with some of the Tim Holtz fabrics that are sort of being used through my whole project. So that's where we're at. This little Suffolk puff, I put some wadding into that little hole to give it a bit of a raised effect because tulips have that little raised centre to them. Now I'm just going to go to my book, my inspiration for this particular flower. Where are you? Can't remember the page. Just go to the table of contents, Corrine. Would be smarter. Can't remember. 23 I think it was, and 12. So I think it's 23 had the really big picture. Yeah, there we go. So this raised piece here, it's very dark in there when you're doing a red poppy. So I want that to feel quite, you know, deep and dark. Hence why I raised this little guy up to give him a bit of a shape. And I've got this eyelash yarn ready to go as well, which will be stitched into position. I've been thinking about this a little bit, actually, over the last week, and I'm thinking I'll slip stitch that onto him before I get too close to, you know, the work itself. So that in itself will be ready just to go. So I probably should have done that off camera, but anyway, at least you know where I'm heading with it. Everything down here is stitched down, invisible stitched my little hanky. I didn't do any decorative stitching on the hanky. She's so delicate. I'm just going to leave her be. She didn't need big stitches all over it. Okay, let's have a go. Let's have a go at getting our poppy. Now remember, I stitched a little corner here, like on an angle. Little line of stitching went through to create a pinched effect. So we're going to take advantage of that, raising the poppy up because I want height on it. It will get squashed in the book, of course, if you're wondering about that, but that's okay. It's all about exploring different ways of using textiles to create our images. I think I want the poppy to lean that way, so let's put the pleat the other way. Okay, this little guy's quite flat. Maybe I have him in the foreground. How many petals were we aiming for? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 around the outside and 2 to 3 on the inside. Okay. Might put you over the top of you a little bit. He's quite flat, but that's, I think, okay. I haven't pleated this guy. This is one of the new ones, and I don't think I need to, because he's got structure already, because he's not vintage fabrics. So I'm thinking he'll be all right. And I might put the old one on top of the newer one so that the old one holds the new one up a little. So probably 2 more. I don't mind you. They're little ones. Too dark. Same. I think it sort of has to be this fellow. Where's the pleat that I put in there? So let's use that. It's all about getting a little bit of height. Now, I was also thinking about, if you are concerned about the bulkiness of it, there'd be nothing stopping you cutting your Suffolk puff or yo-yo around that perimeter and just using the one side of it. I think that would work a treat. If you were concerned that it was too chunky for you. I don't know, maybe I do need to bring in a darker one. If I pop him in the back there, he'll look like he is a bit hidden. Push him back into the distance. There's always light and dark, I guess, on flowers because of shadowing and things like that. So maybe I use that guy to help us blend in. And a bit of light over here with you. There's the pleat. They've got a real floaty look about them, these poppies, the petals of a poppy. It's a very pretty flower. I think that's going to do it. So we've got our 5 big ones around the outer edge, and we've got 2 little floaty ones in the centre. Those 2 there. That probably could go higher. Let's just try you 2 again and maybe get the long side of this guy. Less rounded looking. I know when you're drawing flowers, if every petal's the same, it looks a bit, not juvenile, what's the word? Naive. If you have some that are long and some that are this way, change the orientation of your petals when you're drawing. Yeah, I like that. Yes, that's it. Now the thing is, when this guy goes in, this little centerpiece, we might be able to sneak them back a bit. But I'm liking the look of that actually. What will we do first? Let's slip stitch that on. Ow. I'm wearing protective, they say protective eyewear. I'm wearing protective finger wear. Oh my goodness, I've been working like a Trojan on that yo-yo. Not yo-yo, not Suffolk puff. Hexagon quilt, for goodness sake, get your words out. Actually, we'll go the other way. Stitch away from me. The hexagon quilt. Joining my runs together. Thoroughly loving it, but my goodness, I hate to say it, but hexagon sewing, hexagon quilts, I find them very hard on my body. I need to, which I'm starting to do now. I'm probably, 9 rows into it. I think I've got 4 rows to go. You guys have only just watched the video probably a few weeks ago of me planning it, but in the meantime I've been busy stitching. I think I'm too tense. I think I need to relax my body, drop the shoulders, and that will, be a little bit more caring on myself. Elbows, shoulder, back of neck, all of those things. And I think it's because you're wrangling a heap of the hexagons in strips and you're bringing them all together. And the one thing that I can't get away from is this is actually my needle that I'm using. And see how it's really fine. It's perfect for hexagons. But boy, after 2 rows, the tip of my finger is punctured and then gets a little tender. So today I'm actually filming quite a few videos and I've had to put that on. So yeah, that's to be expected. When you do a lot of needlework, sooner or later, you're going to wear a hole in something. That's usually the tip of your finger. This needle is so fine, it's fantastic to stitch with because it just slides through. But, yeah, you'll pay the piper if you're working with it for 2-3 days straight, which I have been. So I'm just doing a tiny little slip stitch. This is fiddly. You could probably use a touch of glue if you were not so inclined to stitch it. But this will go on lickety-split. There we go. So I've got a timeline of which to film this within. Gaz is going down to the doctor. Nothing major. He's just having to say hello to a doctor in this area because he's got scripts that he needs and he really needs to have a doctor here instead of doing them online or trying to get them organised through the Brisbane doctor. And he hasn't needed one, so he hasn't had to look for one. So now he's going to go and meet my doctor. And she coincidentally comes to Burrum, I think 1 day a week for an afternoon. So he's loving that. But be interested to see what he thinks because he's usually a pretty good judge of character, and often he'll come out of a dentist or a doctor that I've found and he's like, nah, not going back, don't like their attitude. So I don't know if they've said something you didn't like or what the story is. So yeah, he doesn't like my dentist. He hasn't even been to the dentist, the Harvey Bay dentist, because he didn't like the way they strung me along through multiple appointments before actually doing the work I needed. But they were like creating a file on me, getting to know my dental situation. So he didn't like that. He just wants to go in, get a clean or get a checkup or whatever it is and be done. So it's like, I'm not going to your dentist. There's nothing wrong with my dentist. And they've got some tech in there, like 3D printing. There we go. Oh, if that's not a poppy, that's what makes it, is having that edge. So they will go down really easily. And once they're stitched, I think they'll sit nicely. Maybe I can just put a couple little stitches in. I can't help myself. We've got plenty of time. The next thing will be branch and a leaf or a hint of a leaf. So let's rethread. Oh, my scissors. And we'll stitch these down. So yes, I wait with bated breath. Now next to the doctor's surgery is it's sort of in like a strip of shops next to a service station. So it's a case of a chemist, a hairdresser, pathology, and then this little doctor's surgery that she comes out to visit. But real estate, what else is there? Oh, and the reason I'm going to jump the bride down, if I'm not filming, of course, I'm hoping to sort of time things, is a thrift store. It's only little, and it's a little community one, but it's worth having a look in. I pick up some things there. It's probably because there's not many slow stitches out here in this area, so I have half a chance. Oh my goodness. I've left all the pins in there. I'll have to poke my fingers around all of them to get them out, but I want to keep the exact pinned. So yeah, I guess if you are thinking this is too bulky and you don't want to use Suffolk puffs, I probably should have said this in part 1, just cut yourself some petals out of your fabric that you're choosing to use, reds or whites or whatever colour, and just make a thinner version, but just don't stitch down the outer edge. I think that's the secret to giving us that poppy-like feel. Otherwise, I think it'd look very daisy-like, you know, or just a generic flower that is really nothing. It's just a flower made out of Suffolk puffs. And if you're thinking it's not quite poppy-ish enough, you know, by all means, have a play. You don't have to do exactly what I do. The girls over on the Facebook site, to be stitched vintage treasures, there's all sorts of hydrangeas that popped up there last month, and gosh, there's some clever ideas. Just using different ways to create that little flower that is in a hydrangea. So it'd be interesting to see what you all do with the tulip. All right, so we're coming around. I like how you're sitting up there. That's really good. Really, really good. I think the thing is to keep the stitches down to the bottom edge. Allow the petals to come up. I think that's the beauty of using Suffolk puffs, because they're puffy anyway. You can take advantage of that, the air that's in there, unless they're really old, of course. I think this would just about hold everything. Just bend you back a little bit. I think I did get a few good stitches in these ones. Take that pin out. I'm just going to do one more lap around. Well, I am doing one more lap around. Did I get? Yep. Yep. What about you? Are you down? So I would never have guessed that I would have brought that purple one in. Okay. Now my needle is poised underneath. So I put a knot here. You'd know that if you've been around me a while. I put a little knot there so that little guy is not going anywhere. Okay. Where are you situated, Mr. Needle? And I think to keep the puffiness, I'm going to just stitch catching the bottom edge of that. I don't really want to go into the center of the black and white yo-yo because I think that'll start pulling it down and we'd lose that raised. Now you might want to go back into your poppy and put some more decorative stitches, like little French knots in here. Just probably, if it was me, I wouldn't take the French knot to the back of your fabric piece. Try and keep them floating on the little, concentrating as trying to talk here. Keep them floating on that surface. Don't go through to the back because I think you'll lose that nice raised piece. That'd be my thoughts. I don't think I'll do French knots because my fabric has a lot of detail in it already. This check, I don't think they'd show up as well as I probably would want them. And it's probably better if it was just a plain piece of fabric. Maybe you've just got a grey, black toned fabric with no distinctive pattern. Well, then French knots or seed beads and things like that would be gorgeous to give a little bit of a surface feel to your poppy. Here we go. Gee, that was fiddly. So that's all secure. So our poppy is done. I can see a pin. Hold the phone. We've still got a pin in there somewhere. All right. Where's that pin? Here comes the fudge. Okay, there you go. One poppy. Oh, love it. And with that just raised a bit, that really feels like a floating poppy. Oh, love it. That'd be a great brooch, wouldn't it? Especially around Remembrance Day, you could do yo-yo poppies. Okay, spares. Done. The stem. Now, stem and leaves. I had pulled out this. And I like the furriness of it. Oh, I still had that. What was I doing with that? I was going to use that in there as well. I don't think I need to. Oh, I don't mind. Yes, fudge. It's probably a bit late to add that now. I probably could, if I was clever, I could stitch that down in there. It does give another dimension to that poppy. I think I will. That'll be a bit fiddly, but I think if I take my time and like before with that thin needle, just slide the base of this eyelash yarn in. See all those little fibres? They will make it interesting. Wish I had a thought of that a few seconds ago. But I think I can pull it off. Yeah, definitely. All right, that'll be homework. I can make that happen. It's just fiddly. I won't bore you with those details. Yes, Mr. Fudge. Stop for a moment, pat the cat. So, I'm really liking the fibre edging to these. Don't mind you. Poppy branch, straight as a die. They are pretty straight, aren't they? And don't mind you too. What would it look like if that was wound? Fudgy? Oh, I don't mind that. Let's just pin it. So if I wind the stem, I would stitch in under there to anchor it. So So pretend that that's stitched, and then this little guy would just get wound. Yeah, I like that. It's nice and chunky too for the size of this flower. Like, she's a bit of a big poppy. Could have a slight bow in it. Nothing in nature's completely straight. Okay, so let's assume that that is twisted and stitched, and I'd probably just do some camphor stitch, you know, just not camphor, couched it down, just straight over. Hey, pussy. Now, I'm going to trim that because I really like it. I would love to have one of those buds. How are we going to do a bud? One of these. And see that curve? That is just so classic poppy. Where are we going to have that? Maybe I use one to get that thin feel. Here comes the fudge. We're not paying enough attention to the fudge. You can't see him, but there he is. Stay there, buddy. I might do a bud up here. So let's assume that that's couched down, but I'm now only using the sari silk. I'm not using the other one. That'll give me a line. We can curve the top of that to get that nice, elegant top. So that'll be couched down. We'll bring that little stem next to you, but not completely. See, I sort of feel like I need threes. So can we get another one? There's not much left at the bottom here. I could be sneaky and cut there, the green, and there, and that would give me another bit, but it's not very big. Is it worth it? Probably not. I pinned it to the bench. So I like that. So maybe we use this guy because he is in the big poppy, and we do a second, a third. See, I like the composition of that. We've got the big guy, we've got this guy going through, and we've got a little guy coming up here. I'm probably more interested in these elements than the actual leaves, to be honest, but we're getting there. Let's get a bit of fluid movement there. I'll twist them probably fairly tight, especially these two extra ones, because they're not use your words, they're not predominant, so they need to be quite thin, and I'll probably trim those little tassels back, but we definitely need light through there, otherwise we're not going to distinguish that that is a separate poppy. Yep, I like that. Now, what are we going to make the buds out of? These were quilt blocks from a book of quilt blocks that I got from a haul of a sewing room closing down. I wonder if I could utilise that. I don't mind that. See how I keep looking at, see how it's two pieces? And I'm wondering if that could be that scenario. Ow. What colour is that meant to be? Is it meant to be red like the flower that's coming, or is it a pod? I think it's a pod. So if that was stitched, then that come over it, that would be the pod, would give us that curved look. So I'm going to have a play with that. So picture that cut. I think that'll work. I should be able to get 2 out of there, even if that's just that size. Don't bring it all the way around. Makes a great bud. Let's just do it. What the hang? It's only fabric. It's very bulky. But I think if we turn that back in and put some stitches in there, we'll get a shape we're happy with. Where's my needle and thread ready to go? Because we've prepared for such things. It's not. All right, let's have a play. The couching of the stem down, that's homework. That's easy. Adding that extra eyelash yarn, that into there, homework. I'll just stitch one of these little buds. I'm pretty confident that there's no red in that. If when I finish filming, I get online and I have a look at what this little thing is meant to be colour-wise for a poppy, I'll come back and adjust it to the right colour tone. But I have a feeling it's not a colour. If we can just cinch that in to get a bit of a point, which we should be able to. And then the stem should be able to come and meet it. That's pretty good. That's holding. Now I've got all this excess here. So if I trim a bit of that away, because we don't need it now. Oh, my scissors are really doughy. These poor scissors have been cutting paddle pop sticks. Why are they cutting paddle pop sticks, you would ask? Because the girl is working on a mouse chateau and she is cutting paddle pop sticks with her scissors. They do a great job, but I have a feeling I've jiggered them for sewing. So if this bud was turned over this side and fabric was the same colour, it'd make a great bud in general. Like you could just picture that as a rose opening up. But we're going to make it look like a poppy seed. It's a seed pod. I'm pretty confident it wouldn't be red. It's more of a green, beigey element that's yet to perform. Yeah, look at that for a bud. All right. I think that's pretty good, if I do say so myself. So let's have you go out there like that, and you can join onto there. We'll have you at a bit of an angle because that would look artistic. Look, guys, just fiddle around. Like we are not botanists, but if well, this is me. If I look at a picture long enough of a flower, I start to notice some of those little details that make it look like a poppy or whatever it is. I find just give myself time to, I guess, look. Probably needs to be more curved at the top, not so pointed, but I can fiddle with it. I have a feeling I could probably tuck that under, but that's okay. Just securing it with a few little stitches. I don't want to stitch too much down too, because we need to get those leaves into position. Not that I think there'll be a leaf up here, but I think we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves there. Now I might just come up onto the bud a little bit. It's not a bud. Just pop a couple stitches down up through here. That's it. Oh, needle became unthreaded. All right, we'll leave it. I could fiddle around with that for hours, but that will give me that seed pod, and I think I will tuck that under a little bit just to give us more of a round top and not so pointy. I'll crimple it up a little bit. You sort of want it to look a bit, you know, natural. Anyway, that will work. So I've got enough here to make a second one. I've got that to put on. Leaves. Let's talk leaves. They're really unique leaves. They've got quite a sculpted look about them. So I don't know if it can handle words on the leaves, but I think it can handle this dark with a bit of that light. Let's have a go at drawing a leaf. And if it can slide in under through there, sort of like the picture. I don't know if I could pull that off, but I think if we can at least get the shape of one of their leaves. There's quite a bit of a organic-y our flower too is quite chunky, so it's possible that we back off on the leaves and make them, I don't know if you can see that, so I've just sketched that sort of shape. Is that going to cut fabric? Oh, I have jiggered those scissors. Look at that. Oh, my goodness. We now have paddle pop cutting scissors versus fabric scissors. I'm going to miss them. I have to get myself another pair that fabric only, do not touch for paddle pops. So let's cut this little guy out. Now, remember too, we don't have to be a big leaf presence because our flower has got quite a lot of structure about it. So my feeling, my gut feeling before even placing it is this needs to be a little bit softer and pushed back a little bit. But we'll see. And whether it's a combination of the two colours of fabric, that light and the dark, or we just stay in the one. And my feeling is the darker one, so that's why I picked it up first. I like the fact that we can pull in a bit of this black. Let me slide it down. A bit of this dark colour, a bit of that dark colour. So if you're one that doesn't like raw edge, this may not be for you, this project. And not all my raw edges are getting stitched down. I want this project, I guess, to be exploring more of a collaged, organic feel to the fabric. And also, if you're seeing a lot of those collaging type videos out there on YouTube, they usually put steamer seam and products on the fabrics to stabilize them so they're not all frayed. I don't want that look. If that's something you want to explore, go for it. It'd be a lot of fun. It's a lot of ironing of the steamer seam onto your fabricy bits and then draw your leaf, then cut it out. Then once you get everything in position, you apply your heat. There we go. Now I've got a problem, look. Gosh. Oh dear. Yes, 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 yes. If that's not a poppy leaf, definitely. Let me get in myself organised. I'm confident I can snip you off. Look at that. See that sharpness about the leaf? Let's do another one. And I think I'm going to just attach him subtly in there. I'm not going to do a big thing of it because I think it would be too much for my composition. Where's my pen gone? There's a little flying insect here. Okay, let's do another one. I think we want this one to come up through here, and there might be another one down here somewhere. Size-wise, who knows? Let's just get this little thing drawn. Keep it quite spiky. So there's like little furry bits on the stem, and then little furry bits on the leaf. Like it's quite a unusual little flower. Okay. There's definitely poppies on volume 1 when I did the tablecloth. So I've linked that playlist below. So if you want to go back through those videos and have a look at how I did the poppies in the first volume, but that was sketch it, outline it in black pen. Once you're happy with your sketch, apply some paint, some colour, and then stitching. Where this volume's more exploring the possibilities of collaging fabrics together to create something from nothing, but still trying, emphasis on trying to honour the shape, texture, design of some of these flowers that we're choosing. And like I said at the beginning, there will be ones that will repeat because they're just great flowers to explore again in this new way. So I won't be able to help myself to bring a few of them back. All right, is that pointy enough? Oh yeah, love that. Oh, very good. I'm going to pin it. I love them. I like how they've got that motley black feel about them. Will I stitch veins? Oh, I don't know. Will I just invisible stitch it? I don't know. It's all about letting the fabric sing. So sometimes embroidering over those little details may not be where I want to go with it. If it's, you look at your piece and if you think you need some little veins on those leaves, go your hardest. So we need now a little guy out here. So we'll come up here. I don't think we need him too big, do we? Mind you, they look great, really luscious and big. Let's have another go. Maybe I'll zoom in. Can you see my drawing? So it's a real jagged looking little. Now that I know you can see, I've become self-conscious of what I'm sketching, and I'm rushing and losing the design element. When it's just a shadowy image in the distance that you can't see the detail, I can get away with more. Oh dear. Let's see how we go. Put a slight bend on it, but it's probably bending the wrong way, so I need to get it, because when it flips we want the point to actually be over there. Didn't think of that. So let's just adjust that. How are we going for time? Perfect. So I will complete my homework, which is create buds, stitch down buds, stitch down the leaves, the stems, and then I'll pop back at the end of the video and show you the completed work. That'll give me a bit of time to look at it, think about what is it missing, does it need anything else. I might apply a little bit of glue, as in just my classic glue stick, to the leaves just to support some of them, but I need to be a little careful, because if I'm too vigorous in applying that glue, I'll fray the edges even more. So there she is. 3 leaves, 3 stems. I do like it a lot. I was a bit nervous about this one because of the whole Suffolk puffs, and they're Suffolk puffs. How do we make a Suffolk puff look like a poppy? Well, that's where you've got to lean into the poppy itself and say, all right, well, what's so characteristic about you that when we look at, I think that needs to be curved a bit more, but I don't know. Maybe I can get this one a little bit more curved. Yeah, that we lean into the design of the plant itself to get things that to my eye immediately go, yeah, that's an unusual leaf. That's a poppy leaf. Mind you, they're more together there, coming off, but, you know, artistic license. Don't think we need any other fabrics. I think we'd muddy it up. So let's put those away. So there you go. We've got a little bit of time left. Let's stitch down. I did bring all my threads to the table, but I don't know. Maybe we look for a green to invisible stitch down, and then also use it to couch you. So I'm going to go for a real olive tone. That one there looks good. Because it's DMC cotton, we can use as many threads as we like to do the job. So the couching of the stem, what have we got here? Sort of feels like it'd be good, 3. But the leaves, I would pull one thread out and just stitch those little leaves down. I think we'll do some couching first. I feel like we need to stabilize those stems. Okay, let me zoom back up because I just want to show you something. I just have a feeling I should put a leaf up here. No, don't mess with it, because if a leaf goes up here, look, let's take this little guy. I think I'm just enjoying making leaves, and I'm doing them for the sake. So if that went up there, no. You know why it looks odd? Because when you look at poppies growing, there's all this mass down here of green, and then out come these poppies, these beautiful flowers. There's not a bush up here. So there you go. That's my theory. I might keep working on this little bud here and pull in all of those tassels that are on that. Oh, this is where it gets tricky, doesn't it? You've got all these pins in your way. I'll definitely come back to this stem and trim excess tassels off. So it's very, very tassely. Mind you, as I twist it, a lot of those will disappear. But if they don't, we can tidy it up. And now my threads come unthreaded. This is becoming painful to watch. Having said that, the one or two of them sticking out sort of is okay, because we've got that very prickly look about their stems. So I might leave it right to the very end before I make the commitment to cut those bits off. So I'm just sliding down the stem. So this fabric that's the stem looks like a really loosely woven linen, maybe, that has then been fluffed up. So cut a strip and then pull back all of those threads. It's gorgeous. Okay. Lovely. Are my proportions right? Oh, it's debatable. But I'm not too concerned, as long as when I look at it, it makes me think of a poppy, which I think it will. And if I'm still unsure, we've written the word poppy. Look, there's the word poppy. So when Gaz looks at it and he goes, "What's that?" He'll see the word poppy and then he'll make some comment like, "Oh, it's meant to be a poppy." Oh dear, cracks me up. I've sort of gone too far with my thread now. Let's be stingy and try and get one last stitch. And knot it off. Well, I might dodge off and leave yous to your day. I've got myself a little bit of homework. Won't take too long to complete this. That little guy's stitched down. Just think I'm going to tuck that under, guys. I just feel like it's a bit too rose-like. Sort of, once I verbalised the word rose bud, that's all I could see. I sort of feel like I've lost that rounded poppy look, but that's good. I can just adjust that and slip it down so it loses that point. Easily fixed. All right. Yay. Look at that. Love it. So I've got my bits I need. Put the protective wear on the end of my finger. Bit of cotton. What else do I need? That's about it. Yeah, great. All right, I will insert a picture at the end of it all stitched down. Really happy with that. If that doesn't look like a poppy, I give up. It's a poppy. I love it. All right, guys. have a lovely day, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.